Hello and welcome back to another episode from the Since I Was Young podcast, episode 5. Joining you as always is your host, myself, Ewan and Alan. Alan, how are you, sir? How was your the weekend?
Yeah, it's been pretty nice to be honest. Nice weather outside, and yeah, can't complain. Not so much about today, though, but yeah,
I
so far so good.
it, it has went downhill, but unfortunately that is Scotland, so we just have to deal with it, mate. So yes, the main topic for today is the game that was held at Tynecastle on Saturday, which ended in a 3-0 victory to Hearts. We'll mainly pretty much talk about the first half because the second half was non-existent, which I'm sure every Hearts fan can agree. We'll start off with our news segment as always before we go into the main topic, and then we'll end it with the Leave It on the Stand campaign, and we'll review our thoughts on the trophy lift itself at the end of the game. So, as always, guys, thank you very much to everyone who has been watching the podcast so far. It has been really appreciated and for all the interaction and all the comments that we've received on our Twitter page as well. It has been really appreciated, guys. But as always, if you are new to the podcast, please think about subscribing for more future Hearts content, and please smash that like button if you enjoy this video as well. And if you want to get in contact with us, you can. The link for our Twitter is in the description, and also Alan's personal Twitter page as well, and my YouTube page, What Ewan's Doing Football channel. Okay, so we're going to kick off with the news. Alan, you can take it away on that one, sir.
Yeah, not too much to be quite honest today. A few little bits to pick up from. Predominantly the young 16-year-old Finlay Pollock on the bench against Inverness. I think he got on for the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah,
Seemingly been doing really well for the reserves and the youth teams and all that level. So it was nice to see a teenager getting a run out, even if it's come a
finally,
little
yeah.
bit too late. But yeah, no, he comes highly rated, and I think Robbie said after the game something along the lines of he'll go out on loan next season, which is a good thing. I
Yeah,
mean, there'll be people that'll say, "Oh, we want youth players to play," but if he's going to get more games somewhere else, then it makes sense. Especially for a 16-year-old, if he's. But no, seemingly he's quite promising, and it was nice to see a name on the team sheet that I didn't recognise. Had a little look into him, and he seems to be a little uninteresting little prospect there.
definitely.
Um, yeah, and then just the next piece that I came across is again a player on the opposite end of his career. It's Stephen Naismith. After the trophy lift at the weekend, he did an interview. Now I can't remember if it was with BBC or ITV or whatever, but they asked him about his plans going forward because I think he's going to be more involved in coaching side at Hearts over the next little while, and has been recently with the young players. And they asked him about, is it potentially time to retire? Are you thinking about it? And he didn't rule it out. And he didn't say definite, but he didn't rule it out. He said he would review it in the summer because that's a time to sit down and rest and have a think about things. So I think if he did choose to retire, I don't think I would have any issue with it. I like Stephen Naismith as a presence and as a leader and a personality, but in terms of footballing ability, you don't want what happened to Berra to happen to Naismith.
No.
That's you don't want him to be losing the pace, and obviously it's a different end of the pitch, but you don't want games to pass him by, and that's so if he chooses to hang up the boots, then fair play to him. But I'm sure we'll hear more about that in the not too distant future.
Yeah, of course, Alan. I mean, like you just said there, I've always liked Naismith, especially when he's been on the park as well. Like, it's the presence and the vibe that he gives both to Hearts and the opposing team itself. But I think moving forward, I think if he's able to put that vibe and that the presence into wherever he ends up in terms of a coaching role, I think it would be a good sort of role there for him as such. Because personally, I would still like to have him around because again, he brings that. I mean, because for throughout the times that he's actually been on the pitch, whether it's been if he's been starting or if he's came on as a sub, he's the only voice I hear, like just moaning, moaning, moaning. But
Yeah.
from that sort of perspective, I would still like to have him around. If he does think he has one more sort of campaign left, again, I wouldn't be like, opposed to that as such. But on the flip side as well, if it does go into some sort of the coaching role again, I would be happy with that as well. So either way, it is a win-win. So
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure we'll hear more about that in the, as I said, in the not too distant future. And just one final small piece of news that I came across yesterday. It's a fellow Hearts podcast. This is my story. Have teamed up with an online creator who does like art prints of different Hearts players. It's at jam_tarts on Twitter, and they've done this amazing thing. They've basically clubbed together and they are creating a flag, a 40-foot flag of the late Marius Zaliukas with that graphic of him with the Lithuania flag in one hand and the Scottish Cup in the other. So
brilliant.
they are taking donations on a GoFundMe page, which I'm sure we'll put in the description if
We will do.
well,
Yep.
I'll say if we will remember to do that. They've actually already hit the target amount for donations for the flag, which is just absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're going to do with the any remaining funds that come in, they're going to try and get in touch with Zaliukas' family through the club, of course, and see what they want done with the the money. If they want to put it to charity, they can pick where it needs to go to. So I think that's a very good gesture, and it's certainly something that I'll get behind, and I'll throw a wee donation in there, which I haven't done as yet, but I will do.
Absolutely, Alan. Because I watched the podcast of theirs when they announced it, and I thought it was an absolutely terrific idea. And then you shown me the actual flag during the weekend there, and it looks outstanding. And like you just said, is there as well? We as a podcast will get right at the behind it like as well, and to everyone that was watching as well, as Alan just said, we will leave that link in the description. All in all, amazing job from the That's My Story podcast. It was an absolutely terrific effort, and like all of us, we can't wait to see the flag when it's setting up in the castle. It'll be absolutely beautiful. So well done to them. Righty-ho, so we're going to move swiftly forward with the game on Saturday. And as I said at the start, mainly the first half, because that's all the action that there was, unfortunately. Before you start things off, Alan, I'm just going to throw one small thing in there before we talk about the actual game. Um, Amazing job from the groundsman at Tynecastle. That pitch, I have never seen it look like that in a I don't think I've ever seen it like that. It looked absolutely superb. So put it out there and say, amazing job that the guys did there. Looked unbelievable.
Yeah, it did. I was actually I saw a picture of it just before the kickoff, and I was like, "Is that Tynecastle?" Like, it looks brilliant. It was like they obviously did it for the trophy presentation
Yeah.
and all that, but it's lovely. It was really nice. Really nice to see it looking, and it was in good shape as well. To
Oh
be
yeah,
fair, the pitch.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. We started the game quite quickly as well, didn't we?
We
Two
did
goals in the
indeed. Yeah.
first 10 minutes. 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. Can't
Mm.
complain about that.
No, no, not
Um,
at all.
I'm, I'm waiting on a public apology from yourself for a certain Mr. Gary Mackay-Stephen.
I was hoping you would bring this up, eh? Right. So, well, before I explain myself, I will talk about the first goal that was obviously scored by Mackay Stevens. I will say he did incredibly well. Very sort of not the exact same, but showed sort of um, hints of Ewan Henderson's goal against Alloa. Because I actually rewatched the game this morning, and because from what I can remember, he had about three players around him, which he beat, and then two players in front of him as well. And he did take it really well. It was a really, really, really good goal. And obviously I'll explain it in a bit more sort of detail like sort of as we go on. But I will say for that game, he did deserve the man of the match. I will say from that perspective, because you know that's the kind of performances from him that all Hearts fans were expecting when he first came. So it was nice to see from that aspect that he has still got something about him, and it was quite nice to see.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, I think Robbie said it briefly after the game. He said something along the lines of, that's the Gary Mackay-Steven that we want to see more of, and that's what he can do when he's up against teams that open themselves up a bit more, which is what Cali kind of did. But yeah, no, as we've said, we've spoken about Gary Mackay-Steven before and how little he's contributed, but 17 games for him to get his first goal is not the greatest of statistics, but
No,
he gets two in one game, so can't complain about that.
absolutely not, Alan. I mean, like you just said there, Alan, like, from the comments from Robbie, like, saying that that's the sort of the player that we want to see, in terms of from my sort of views on it now, it still doesn't change what I think about him. Like you just said, to point it out there, Alan, it's taken him 17 games. I mean, I'm not even concerned about the fact that this was his first, like, sort of the goal for Hearts. It's mainly the fact that it's his first game out of those 17 for him to actually have a good, like, sort of performance, so in terms of how I feel about him, I do give him his credit for this game, but I'm still on the view that he obviously has to keep doing it on a consistent, like, sort of basis, and the fact that he's left it to the second last game of the season, like, there's still sort of the questions around whether or not I would dare to put him in the team.
Again, it's like you say though, it's about the system. And
Yeah,
against Inverness, he played the three at back again. He played three, and then he played four in midfield. So Mackay-Steven was sort of playing off the right wing, and he was
yeah,
cutting inside, being a bit more central, and it seemed to work for him. And maybe it is just he needs to find his place in the system. Maybe that's what it is. It's frustrating that it's taken him to now to do anything of note, to be honest, because up until this game he's not really done anything, as you said yourself. But yeah, no, he certainly deserved the man of the match. I thought he was solid throughout the game, to be honest.
We'll move swiftly on to the second goal. I'll let you take this one because I know you think really highly of him. You can take us through the goal of McInniff.
Yeah, absolutely. It was Gary Mackay-Steven again, actually cutting in. Played a lovely little ball down the line of the box to Boyce, and Boyce just cuts it back. And it's kind of behind McKenna, but he sort of adjusts his feet and controls it. And he's just always in the right place. Like in the last few weeks, he just looks like he's growing in confidence again. And he adjusts his feet and he gets a shot away. And I mean, it's not the best shot in the world. Nanduli actually jumps out the way of it, jumps over the ball to stop it hitting him. And it deflects then off a Cali player, and the goalkeeper, it goes in the near post, and Richards, the former Hearts goalkeeper, just couldn't get anywhere near it. But yeah, no, I've been really impressed with McKenna the last couple of weeks, and that goal, I sent it to you in a message. It reminds me of like an Ollie Lee type of goal,
Yeah,
sort of, arriving late in the box and hitting it. And obviously, I'm not going to say I wasn't a huge fan of Ollie Lee because I was. I kind of liked him, but I do think that McKenna is a bit of an upgrade on him. I think McKenna has a bit more energy about him than
quite
Ollie Lee.
enough.
But I'm not saying Ollie Lee. Yeah, and again, Ollie Lee went back down to England because he was homesick and he wanted to go home, which
Yeah, which
you know.
is fair enough. Yeah,
No, it was a good goal, and I think coming so soon after the first one, when that goal went in, it was like, right, game's done. Unless Cali were going to come back into it, but Cali didn't really show anything, to be honest. A few wee moments here and there, but no, good goal, good player, happy days.
absolutely, Alan. I mean, because we briefly talked about this at the weekend. There's a lot of similarities between the Kenneth and Lee. I'll never speak like a bad word about Ollie Lee because at the time I think he did quite well for us. It's like, especially last season as well. Like, all things like, considered, even though the team wasn't actually playing well, he was one or two of the players that you would see always just running everywhere, always just trying. And
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
like, and like you said, I think the more sort of why likes of you and me, why we kind of maybe sway towards McAneff a bit more is that he's just got a bit more about him. He seems a lot stronger as well to actually was it to keep the ball at his feet. And he seems to have like so much energy. Like, he seems to be going up the pitch and down the pitch, up the pitch and down the pitch. So in that respect,
Definitely.
yeah, I think it is a slight upgrade on him. But like you said, Alan, it was a well taken goal and thoroughly deserved as well. We're gonna lastly talk about I'd say it was a Hearts goal, but in like sort of general, it was a horrendous fuck up from the Inverness defense. Again, like I said, I watched it again back this morning. I mean, even though Mackay Stevens scored it, I mean, you probably could say that any of the Hearts players stuck that in. Christ, even 80 White. But yeah, no, to be fair to him, you for anyone to score that, I guess you've got to get to the ball, and he did well to hold off, the defender from Ed Cali and to sort of toe poke it in, but past what's his name, Rogers. So in that respect, he did that quite well. So
Yeah, he did. He did. He was. I mean, I'm not going to go on about Gary Mackay-Steven because we've said all we have to say about him, but
no.
he was in the right place at the right time. And I think as well, though, the big thing that I like about the goal, I know it's just a big Craig Gordon lump down the pitch, but Nandule wins the wee flick on and plays it into that place where the Cali defender doesn't know what to do.
No,
And Mackay-Steven, he's there, he puts that away. Yeah, it was relatively simple, but yeah, can't complain. Three
absolutely.
goals in the first half.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was as shocked as anybody else, but as soon as we were 3-0 up, and that's the thing about these, at the podcast that we actually do, when Hearts win, it makes me think for the next episode that we actually do, there's not actually a lot to talk about. Whereas when Hearts lose, I'm this anger, the rage is built up, and we got plenty to was it talk about. So I don't know if I kind of like Hearts more when we lose. I have no idea, but
I've got an interesting one for you actually. There was an interesting tweet that I came across
go on.
from another person that does a Hearts podcast, the Perth to Paisley podcast,
Oh yeah,
also on YouTube, by the way. And it's Daniel McIver. He posted on Twitter, which I thought was quite interesting. He says, since Peter Haring, Dunfermline away, and John Suter, Alloa at home, have come back into the team as starters, Heart of Midlothian have not conceded a single goal. Just shows you how important they are.
yeah. Because we
Yeah.
didn't concede against Alloa, didn't concede against Morton, which we'll not talk about that. And then from the Saturday's game as well. Yeah, I didn't actually was it I had to think of that. Wow, that is actually quite an interesting start. That
Yeah, four games in a row, 4 clean sheets. Not bad, eh? Not bad.
ridiculous. And we've scored what 6 goals, 9 goals, and then
Nine,
9 goals.
nine
So
in 4 games.
like I'll not complain about that, but it all comes to what happens for the next the campaign and the top flight, because it's obviously going to be a totally different sort of was it the game. It's going to be a bit more high tempo as well. So I think in that respect, I think for the performances that we had at the start of the season where it was just slow play, sort of tempo, just passing. I think Robbie's got to take that into consideration as well, where we can't play that when we get to go back and to the top flight. But like you've said, throughout the past few weeks, Robbie seems to be saying the right things. So if he can to put that like, into practice on the pitch as well, then, like, I won't have much to complain about.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of things before we move on to the next
Mm.
part. But I've noticed as well, and I mean, some people might disagree with this. Like, obviously, you and I have said it for a long time. We've not played good football this season really at all. There's not really been many performances that you've went, oh, remember that game? That was
Yeah.
brilliant. But what I've noticed about the championship, and now we can talk about, obviously, we've almost finished it. It's pretty much done.
Hmm.
A lot of teams do sit in and just defend and catches on the break, and like, I'm not I'm not excusing Robbie here by any means. I'm not excusing the players. They should be good enough to beat these sorts of teams. But it's very, very difficult to break teams down when they're defending all the men behind the ball.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of that this season in the Championship has been that. And I think from the sort of things that Robbie's saying, like he said about the game on the weekend, he said it felt like a Premiership game when we played against Cali because they came out and had a go and they came out and played. And he said the same thing about Dundee on the first game of the season before the game kicked off. He said this game will be like a Premier League game because both teams will obviously want to win it. So there's a part of me that thinks, okay, is that him hinting that next season we're going to be a bit more expressive, and this season we've just played that way so that we can get the points to get out the league? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know, and I'm not defending Robbie, and I'm not making excuses for him because I don't think um, he's the one with all the excuses. Let's be honest. Whenever we're dropping points, but yeah, I hope that Robbie's looking at the Premier League and going, the Premier League's a lot more open than the Championship. Teams will come out and have a go. So as long as we are set up in the right way, we could do something. And I hope that's the case. And even just to lead on to that,
Yeah.
Stephen Naismith said after the game, he was talking about it, and he said, fans expect Hearts to be competing at the top end of the top flight, and they expect attacking football at home, and they expect us to play well. And it's nice to hear those things. It's nice to hear those words because Stephen Naismith's a senior player, and obviously Robbie Nielsen's coming out saying similar things. They'll know that the pressure is going to be on them from the first game of next season.
Oh,
Like
without a
whether
doubt. Yeah.
whether there's fans in the stadium or not, which I hope there will be. I'm praying that there will be at some point. It's I'm just I hope that now it's like, right, okay, now the championship's done, we can play the way that we know we can play because we've seen it. Like we've seen us play in the cup. I know obviously Brora, etc. But cup final against Celtic, there were moments we played really well, and we've we've got good technical players. They just maybe need a bit of space to play, and that's maybe what Robbie's banking on in the Premiership. And I hope that the players he brings in will improve us on that regard because this football we've played this season has been absolutely dire. But yeah, it's just nice to hear good words coming out from within the club, and you just hope that they follow through on those, and we're not, stuck playing the way we've been playing this season forever and ever.
Well, yeah, like exactly, and because what he's got to take into account, fair enough, you know, any manager, he doesn't have to listen to any sort of was it comments or any sort of criticism from any fan, but he's got to take into account what most Hearts fans have said throughout, like this campaign. Like he can't ignore the fact that the fans aren't happy with how we've been playing, some of the results that have came through, and like it goes back to when we first brought in Stendhal. In my view, it was very risky football, like in the sense, he played a system called, I'm pretty sure it was it the Geiger press, I think, like in German, I think, I when we played Rangers, I can't remember if it was I think it was the league, and I think the Scottish Cup was afterwards. Yeah, even though we were pressed up the pitch quite high, that is what you actually wanted to see us actually. Was it having a goal, for any team, like regardless if it's Celtic, Hibs, or county, like we've got to have a goal because, like you said yourself, from what Naismith said, trying to win every game, trying to get as far as we can in any of the cups, like sort of the competitions as well. So again, you know, Robbie is saying all the right things, but again, if he puts that into practice, then like again, I won't have any complaints at all. But like you said, we've just got to wait and see. And you know, I like you said as well. I pray that there will be fans in there, even if it's at a smaller capacity, like they did with the Carabao Cup, like sort of just past there. Like even if it's a smaller sort of set of fans, I'll still be absolutely delighted because, because 9 times out of 10, even from Hibs players as well, 9 times out of 10, everyone's favourite place to actually play a football game is there because it's got one
Yeah,
of the best atmospheres in Scotland, you know?
it's mad. It's absolutely mad. And it's Tynecastle. Like you hear even players that have retired and are pundits now saying
Exactly, yeah.
about Castle being one of these places that you don't want to come to. And maybe it's mellowed in recent seasons. Maybe that's Budge trying to make it more family friendly or whatever. But Tynecastle, when Hearts are on form and playing well and playing good football,
Mm.
Tynecastle is a very difficult place to play.
Oh, undeniably, yeah.
Can I just make a quick break from that and just update you because a tweet just popped up on my screen
Oh,
here, which I
breaking
think
news just in. Here we go. Here we go. We're moving up in the
it's
world, Alan. Breaking news.
from our friends at This Is My Story podcast, and they say, "Hey guys, we've raised over £1,000 for the Zaliukas flag
Oh,
already." Just
fantastic.
just to update you, any money raised over the flag's cost will be donated to Zal's family of choice's charity. So there you go. That's a little heart
Fantastic.
back to
Well
us.
done, guys. Absolutely fabulous. And I think we'll most likely tweet that like as well. And as we said at the start, guys, we will leave that link in the description. Even though the This Is My Story podcast have hit that target and they've smashed it, let's just try and raise as much money as we can. We will get involved in that. We'll get right at the behind it, and hopefully you guys will as well. But I have no doubt that you will. So again, we'll leave that description in the. Sorry, we will leave that link in the description. So just to round things off, obviously this was the last home game of the season, Alan, and obviously we talked about it a few episodes ago for the Leave It on the Stand the campaign. Obviously, like like I'm sure you did as well. I watched the trophy lifting. I would say the first sort of word that came to mind when I first watched it was a sarcasm. I think I think that's the main word that you can sort of say on that. I do appreciate the fact that the statement that the club sort of brought out as well, where I can understand it's been a hard campaign for the players. Even though for a lot of things, yeah, a lot of players were underperforming, this and that, but I can understand for a player. I can understand the fact that it must be so hard to try and build up that sort of the confidence again and try and get back to playing well again. But I thought even though the campaign was not to lift it, I think in that respect, I think it was quite well done by Naismith, and I think I think all Hearts fans can agree that we still lifted up the trophy, but I think it was in the most sarcastic way, like you saw there. So
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, as I say, we spoke about it before and in the previous episode, and I expected them to lift it. They did it with such a, like you said, such sarcastic is exactly the way to put it. And it was funny because the BBC Sport Scotland article basically said, "Have you ever seen a more awkward trophy lift?" And loads and loads of people replied to it, and they were like, "It's not awkward, it's sarcastic. Like it's meant to be like that.
exactly.
They did it on purpose. Like it's not." And the statement that the club put out, it's one of those that I read it and I thought, not sure about
Mm.
that. And they said, "Oh, it's notoriously one of the toughest leagues to get out of," and they were hyping it up as if we just won the Champions League and all this sort of stuff. Which,
Right.
yeah, it's not an easy league because of what I was saying before about teams
Yeah.
defending and being negative. But at the same time, I think the right thing to do is what they did. I think take
Yeah.
the trophy and celebrate it, or celebrate in the dressing room. There was loads
Yeah.
and loads of pictures, like their social medias. They're all sitting in the changing rooms having a beer and looking at their medals and looking at the trophy and stuff. And I mean, you can't say they don't deserve that. Like
No.
it's every player, every football player, they want to win things regardless of what level it's at. They want to win a trophy. They want to, at the end of their careers, they want to look at medals and go, look what I won. And
Aye.
that's okay. Like we shouldn't be in the championship. We should never have been in the championship. We know this, but we were in it. So the most important thing was to win it and get out of it, and they've done that now. And yeah, I mean, I did enjoy Stephen Naismith's sarcastic thumbs up as he lifted the trophy. I thought that was hilarious. And then it's funny. I could watch it on a loop all day, that trophy lift, and it's hilarious. The Hearts Twitter account posted it, and as is the way with Hearts social medias and just in general, Hibs fans decided to jump in and comment on that.
Of
Despite the
course they
fact
did,
that
aye.
Hibs were playing, despite the fact that Hibs were actually playing a game of football at the same time, I'm thinking, why are you commenting on a Hearts post when your team's preparing for a Scottish Cup tie? Like priorities, they're obsessed. I didn't even know that Hibs were playing until I saw the full time result. I'm like, it's mad. But
Oh no.
so many fans of other Scottish football teams, they've been triggered by the fact that we've been so sarcastic with this trophy lift. They're all saying, "Oh, it's disrespectful. It's shocking. Hearts are disgraceful." I'm just sitting here going, "We're back, lads. We're back. This is
oh,
this is it.
oh,
This
mate,
is
like
it."
I couldn't, like, like, I mean, I didn't know. I mean, to answer your first, like, sort of thing, like, like, and you've said it quite a few times. I think Hibs and Hibs fans more in general, genuinely, and this is not to say, because they are our rivals, but they seemed so, like, obsessed with us rather than themselves. Like, honestly, I'm not even saying that just to be like a dick. Genuinely, on the previous, like, I read the videos that I've done, on Robbie Nielsen. Literally, one of the first things that came up was a Hibs fan. I'm like, I don't care what you fucking think.
I
Like,
know,
you know what I
I
mean?
know.
Go make, like, oh, just,
Yeah. No, I know. We could bash Hibs fans all season, all
oh,
night.
mate, I
Like we
could,
could be
yeah.
here. We could be here for weeks talking about them. But it's as I say, it's just nice that the entire of Scottish football's fan base is triggered because Stephen Naismith did a thumbs up as he lifted the trophy. I just thought that was hilarious. I'm just like,
Absolutely.
yeah, we're back in the top flight where we should have been in the first place. But anyway, it was
Definitely.
the way it was supposed to be done, and I think they did it well, to be honest.
Absolutely, Alan. And I think that line is a good note to end on. That we are back. We're one game away, and then we are officially back in the top flight, which I cannot wait to see. And I'm sure that all fans and yourself, Alan, will be dying to get back into the Tynecastle as well, because I'm sure that you'll agree that when they do announce that fans will be allowed back in the stadium, I will be setting up a tent weeks before outside that ticket office. Nobody will get near me. I will be first in that stadium because, honestly, mate, I mean, I'll be honest, it's been years since I've been back at Tynecastle. And so, I like, me personally, I just cannot wait to get like, inside and enjoy the
Yeah,
pleasantries that is Tynecastle Park. So yeah, I think that is a good note
exactly.
to end us on there, Alan. But once again, thank you very much for watching episode 5 of the Since I Was Young podcast. Your hosts have been, as always, myself, Ewan, and Alan. And once again, as well, if you do enjoy this episode, you can watch back our previous 4 episodes that we have done as well. And if you do enjoy those as well, please think about subscribing and please smash that like button for more future football content. And alternatively, as well, we'd love to hear all your thoughts as well. So you can put those up on our personal Twitter account as well, which will be on screen, but also equally in the description below as well. And you can get in contact with Alan as well on his Twitter account and my personal YouTube account, what Ewan's doing. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. And I think for next week's episode, or at some point, we're going to do a season review. And then afterwards, we're going to be struggling for for what to actually do because the season will be done. But I'm sure that we'll find some fun and interesting topics to talk about going forward as well. But as always, Alan, it is an absolute pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, and the same to you as always. It's again nice to come off the back of a win.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. Always a good note to end on. But yeah, once again, as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye for now.